Okay, no time for a sketch today. I'm having a baby. Nope, that's imaging medical records. Hello, Internet. Today I am reviewing Rosewill's Neon K51 mechanical keyboard and the M57 mouse. Let's get started. Let's start with the keyboard. The K51 features mechanical keys. It's very well designed. The actual keycaps are, and they're much more solid than a lot of keyboards that you would typically use that are membrane. So the font is actually, I really like the font. I guess this ampersand is a little weird. The little wrist rest here, it's plastic. It's not going to move on you. There's a lot of rubber feet on top of that. And they hook in underneath this guy's feet right here. I sort of noticed reading some other keyboard reviews is that if you got like the squishy kind of wrist pad things, what you'll notice is a lot of them, like, your skin will catch as you're trying to go across and move your hand around. This is actually a lot nicer than it appears to be. The key presses themselves, a lot of mechanicals will say that they're trying to simulate cherry reds, and you'll always know that you're not really using a mechanical keyboard, even though it's a mechanical. What it is it's a better built membrane keyboard because it's mechanical, mechanical. Because it's just that the actual switch, the actual key itself, and the thing that holds it together is way better built than a standard membrane keyboard. The other thing is a lot of things with actuation points in mechanical keyboards is that, when you're pushing down on a key, that you have less distance between when you're pushing down and your action as to when your key response actually happens. So the thing is that with the mechanical keyboard, you're still going to be, it's still going to be a little bit farther distance because you still have to push down the membrane at the very bottom of the key. When it comes to this mechanical thing, if I'm pushing down for gaming purposes, I'm kind of stressed out usually when I'm playing, so I'm pushing full force like it's going to do something if I hold it down harder. The actual presses, if you tried to push these keys as light as possible, you may miss a key like every 5 clicks. But you're not going to push this as light as possible. You're going to use it like it's an actual keyboard, and it's not going to be super noticeable for that. I will probably still use this on a gaming level because of that. It has 19 key anti-ghosting. In the future, it's anti-ghosting. It's not going to make a huge difference. I mean, it's important that it be there. It's not something that I've had a problem with. What was interesting is I've had to throw out some random numbers at people, and if you've used a normal a normal membrane keyboard, if you try jabbing a bunch of keys at the same time, it's going to register like 2 or 3 of them. On this, I can jam a whole bunch of keys at the same time, and it'll give me everything that I pressed in whatever order that I pressed them for the most part. And that's really impressive. Okay, the part that you're actually here for is colors. One thing that really kind of disappoints me in the RGB keyboard is software control, because when you have to download software and it only shows up when it's installed, so you can't move it around. And sometimes the software needs an update, and sometimes the software is part of the drivers and it crashes something. It's so frustrating. So I really like internal controls for my RGB. This smoothly transitions between colors across it. It can breathe. It can dim the LEDs and that's special. You don't think that's special, but it's important, especially if you have a bunch of devices that are supposed to be doing a similar thing. So let me actually get to the thing that you want to see. What this thing does in different colors. So mechanically, it's function key and the number keys. So the first one is just your wave of going across. Second one is sort of that thing that I was telling you about, is that it has the colors and then it would just move over. But some people want that, so we'll leave that alone. So 3 is breathing, which is always nice, and breathing between different colors even, which is kind of cool. 4 is your wave going across. 5 is just your solid colors. If you keep going through 5, you can go through whatever color you're looking for. 6 is the stacking colors. 7 is the cool one. So 7, you can, if you hold function, hit 7 twice, you can select each individual section of color. And then you can just leave it there, and then you have whatever color pattern you want. That's super cool. I really like that they did that. Let's see, what 8 is on press. And the way to control the speed of these things, the easiest ones to check on are the ones that are moving, is function, page up, and page down. So the one thing that this doesn't have as RGB keyboards go is individual keys that light up. So you can't have the effects where you press a key and the light stays there, or you have like only your WASD lit up. And that's fine. That's very specialized. You don't really need that. I'm impressed that it does specifically gradients, and that's really important to me. The keyboard itself, it has a good weight to it. It's, it's not flimsy. This is very built like a solid piece of machinery. It is. The background of the keyboard itself is a sort of sparkly gloss, but you can't tell. Mostly what it's doing is absorbing the light, so this thing is like appears way wider than you expect it to be. Keyboard USB cable is a decent length. You've got some room. It comes with just a little Velcro strap. The most I could complain about was not being able to light individual keys, and that's it. As mechanicals go, I mean, this is fantastic. Like I said, it's not supposed to be a mechanical keyboard, because it's making a really great design out of less expensive parts, and I appreciate that. If you were going to try to save some money, not go full mechanical, but still have a solid piece of hardware, but you still want RGB, this covers all of that field. And the Neon K51 comes in at an MSRP of $49.99. I have nothing bad to say about this thing. Editor's choice all the way. Pure overclock. Done. Alright, let's talk about the Neon M57. Neon M57 comes in at an MSRP of $39.99. This guy's got some nice colors that go along the entire base of it, on the logo and on the scroll wheel. I like what they've done with the scroll wheel design, with the breaks in the middle of it. That's pretty fun. It has a nice weight to it. I've had some pretty light mice. This is heavier than those, but it's not so much that it's gonna distract you from turning it sideways and going across. Got your switch up here that you can tell to do whatever you want. For me, it's DPI, which typically is what you do. And it has 2 side buttons over here. One thing that kind of confused me is that on the box it said it was ambidextrous. I feel like these 2 buttons would get kind of a pain if you're holding it like this, because you're basically clicking it with your ring finger. It's not a terrible thing. I guess you could take advantage of that. I think it would be harder than using your thumb. The one thing that was kind of weird for me, it's optical, by the way, pro optical personally. It feels a lot nicer than lasers. But that might just mean I haven't had like a really good laser, but optical's pretty nice. The weird thing for me is that on the left side, there's a click, a physical click you can feel on just this plastic underneath the 2 buttons. And I don't know if that's intentional to make you feel like you've got a good grip on it, if that was a place that a button could have went, I don't know. It's not something that's super loud, like it's going to distract you. It's just an interesting tactile feel that I wasn't expecting. It's not a con. It's just weird that it does that, because it doesn't feel like it's hampering the design at all. It doesn't feel like it makes it less stable, because the other side doesn't do it. The other side's fine. It just feels like it was a weird tactile feel that they put into the mouse. Also this side part is rubbery, not like really rubbery, but that's so you have a good grip on it, so you're not sliding off of it. If that's a thing you do with sweaty hands and mice, I don't know. Maybe that is, maybe it isn't, but they got you covered. Okay, last thing I want to talk about is the software. So first thing is button assignment. I have messed a little bit with the macro manager, which is interesting. The macro manager has the ability to do whatever your keyboard inputs in whatever order you want to do, but I just set mine to change tabs in Chrome, so I just did Control Tab, and it registers that I push them down, and then registers when I pull them up. So it does its recording for its macros really well. There's an axis sensitivity. I wouldn't touch that unless for some reason maybe if you have like a really elongated screen in a weird direction. My favorite part of the button in the software settings is that I can unselect DPI settings and keep only the DPI settings that I want. So I don't have to have 5 different DPI settings to scroll through. That's probably my favorite part. Lighting options goes through all the colors, respiration, your breathing actions. Neon and finger tapping it rotates when you push stuff. Polling rate I also don't really mess with, just because I am not so specific as to really need it, but it's really interesting that they give you the option for it. I like that they just have like a slow fast meter, like not telling you the specifics of the mouse. Double click speed. That's interesting because, I mean, it's not something, there's something in Windows by default that sort of lets you mess with that, but being able to make the specifics of how fast counts as a double click is actually pretty interesting. Scroll speed, which is actually kind of cool because you can decide how fast you go through your page. And then you can save configurations, make as many profiles of what you need those things for. Rosewill did an amazing job with this whole user interface for this mouse software. It's going above and beyond what the mouse does to make this software super functional and super pretty and easy to understand, and giving you as many options as it does. Rosewill has gone above and beyond with this mouse, and I'm super impressed. Keyboard, because it's making a really great design out of less expensive parts, and I appreciate that. If you were going to try to save some money, not go full mechanical, but still have a solid piece of hardware, but you still want RGB. This covers all of that field. This mouse has an optical sensor. It has a good weight to it. It's not so lightweight to feel like it's made of nothing, but it's not so heavy as to be able to not really move it around. Their software is beautiful. This mouse has an optical sensor. It has a good weight to it. It's not so lightweight to feel like it's made of nothing, but it's not so heavy as to be able to not really move it around. Their software is beautiful. Okay, few issues. The mouse breathing effect, I don't actually see where on the software that you could even change the color. Figured out the lighting thing, so it turns out you can actually change the colors underneath each one of the DPI settings whenever you have a static color for respiration or standard. So all you have to do is click on the colored box underneath DPI and you'll get the color selection. There's just a lot of gaming mice that are around that price, and they also have optical and DPI and some colors, so it's really competitive. So I wouldn't say this is necessarily my dream mouse for this price range either, but it's a solid mouse, so I'm going to give it pure overclocks Great Hardware Award. I'm Bid Mario, and I will catch you next time.